and it's somebody's fault. Not sure who yet. We're gonna find that out. Happy apple picking day! Which is so fitting because tomorrow's Thanksgiving and we're gonna have apple pie and it's gonna be so great. Just a quick reminder for all of our friends, if you want a chance for your stories to be featured on Am I the Bad Apple, you can send them to my subreddit, r/Am I the Bad Apple. And as a weekly reminder, we all come from different branches of the apple tree. And what that means is that we've all lived different lives and had different experiences, and those experiences are going to shape our opinions and how we view the world, how we internalize different situations. And that's okay, that happens. And that's why we practice constructive communication down in the comments, where it's okay if we agree or disagree or learn something new or teach someone else something new. These are all okay options. So without further ado, let's get started with this week's episode of Am I the Bad Apple? Let's go apple picking! Apple number 1. Am I the bad apple for making a mom on the airplane cry? So I'm boarding my flight for the holidays and I settle into my economy seat. It's actually economy plus. I paid more for the upgrade. This woman approached me and asked to change seats from my seat up front to 32B. All the way in the back. She went on to say that this was so that her 9-year-old could sit with her. I asked, okay, how much cash do you have to repay me for the money I spent on this seat? She rolled her eyes at me and said, really? Are you really gonna be so cruel as to leave her 9-year-old son with anxiety sitting alone? I said, I'll give you the seat if you're willing to pay for it. Did you offer the person next to your son to sit in the economy plus seat? She said no, she got this upgrade because she needs the leg room. I said, okay, well clearly you care way more about your own comfort than your son's well-being. That if you actually cared about your son sitting alone, you would have either paid for the upgrade yourself or you would give up your seat to move to the back. Well, she didn't like that. She starts screaming all the, how could you? It's me, and just storms off. A couple minutes later, a man beaming sits down next to me, grinning about his awesome upgrade. My partner said that I was the jerk for questioning her parenting in public and making her all upset in front of everybody. But I mean, she's trying to cheat me out of the seat that I paid for. So, was I the bad apple? I've done a couple videos, like short videos about these kinds of situations. There are some instances where like if there's a missed flight and a rebook or a last minute trip, like it's very possible that a parent might just be put separately from her kid is what I've learned. But it doesn't happen very often. Very often, a lot of times what happens is that a parent will like get 2 middle seats or get like 2 seats separate on the plane and then ask someone to switch later. And for those that don't know, like if you don't travel that much, a lot of times on a lot of different airlines, if you book a seat that's by the window or in the aisle and not a middle seat, it can be a couple extra dollars more expensive. Sometimes a lot more expensive. So again, not always. There are those exceptions when sometimes it's a last minute rebook or a last minute emergency trip where like there really wasn't any 2 seats next to each other. That happens. But more often than not, sometimes some parents will try to pull on the heartstrings of strangers and like, oh, my kid is all alone, blah, 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 because they don't want to pay for the expensive seat next to them. And I hate that. I hate it. It annoys me. It annoys me. And you know what? While there are some people in this world who are more than willing to always give up their seat in that instance because they don't care whether it's an emergency or whether they're just trying to finagle out of not having to pay the upgrade. Like there are people who are more than happy to do that. I'm gonna be honest, I'm not one of those people. I'm someone that like, there are a few instances in life where I'm definitely more willing to splurge, and traveling comfortably is one of those things for me. That's so important. I travel all the time. A lot of times it's very long flights. No, I'm going to pay for the seat that I want to sit in and that I'm going to be comfortable in. And I'm not gonna give that up for free for funsies. Like I think that if it's a situation in which like there's an unsafe situation with like a minor and a young child and they can't fly alone, I think that's up to the airline to figure out how to make sure that mom and kid are together or find them on a flight that'll work for them where they can sit together. If it's one of those like rebooking situations. And then if it's like the parent just not paying for it, that's their problem, in my opinion. It's not everyone else's job to like parent your kid or take care of your kid or pay money for your kid. Like, no, that annoys me very much. It's like one of my pet peeves. Also, because like I travel a lot, so I do see it in person often. People don't usually ask me to switch, but I have seen so many people just in the general vicinity try it, and it bothers me a lot. So I'm going good apple. I totally agree with you that if mom was willing to pay the difference, yeah, why not? That's something that I would consider too. But no, I wouldn't pay extra for a better seat and then just give it up because of someone's poor planning. And honestly, I don't necessarily agree with your partner anyways. Like, would I have said all those things that you said? Probably not. Like, I just wouldn't. That's not how I would have handled it. But I don't necessarily agree with your partner saying like, oh, well, you shouldn't have said all those things in front of everyone. But she was clearly trying to pull on your heartstrings in front of everyone and was hoping that the peer pressure would make you change your mind. So I don't see why calling her out and being like, this is irresponsible, is any different. Again, not that I would have handled it that way, but I wouldn't necessarily call you the bad or even the crab apple for it. So I'm gonna go good apple. And again, if there was a situation where there like really was no other option, I wouldn't look down on mom for asking. But the fact that like she went out of her way to try and get the kid a free upgrade at your expense instead of just asking the other guy first, like that bothers me. That's the issue. I have no problem with parents that are trying to like just find ways to make sure their kids, or that they're sitting next to their kids on airplanes. Like that's responsible. But the mentality of, I'm gonna try and get this free upgrade first. It would also be a different story if she offered to pay for the seat, but she didn't. The moment the passenger was like, are you gonna pay for the seat difference? Oh, well, you're so cruel, blah, 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 blah. No, I hate that. That's just money grabbing. That's what I have a problem with. Not parents trying to make sure the families are together, but the few parents that try to use the kids and the heartstrings to like get freebies from people at other people's expense. I don't like that. Pay for the upgrade, ask to move the other seat first, but like this, I don't like it. Apple number 2. Am I the bad apple for humiliating my daughter in front of her friends? My daughter is one of the most well-adjusted and socially adept people I've ever met. She's organized her own birthday parties, excelled at debate team, and the feminist roundtable club at her school where she organized a fundraiser for at-risk young women. I'm beyond proud of her. She's an incredible person, and I truly feel the sky is the limit for her. However, she's recently made a few friends who I believe are not the best fit for her. 3 people, 2 who are non-binary, and 1 girl. All of them claim to be autistic. I guess this has rubbed off on my daughter because now she's also claiming to be autistic. My sister's following her on TikTok, and I guess she now posts stimming videos and other things. She's given me 0 evidence before this point to even entertain the notion that she's autistic. I truly never even considered it until she met these friends. This is leading me to believe it's made up. I've noticed that these friends are causing her to distance herself from her other friends that encouraged a more healthy lifestyle. Friends she met in the feminist roundtable, for example, who I really liked. She doesn't really do anything anymore but sit in her room and make videos with these friends about autism. It's really strange and has me feeling really bad. The other day, her and her friends were in my kitchen and my daughter said something along the lines of, she wouldn't understand because she's not autistic, about some classmate of theirs. I calmly stated after she said this that she's not autistic either. That she's self-diagnosed at best and shouldn't patronize people by claiming that she's autistic as it's inappropriate to people who actually struggle with this disability. Oh, she got furious and stomped out of her room. Her friends followed and she's not talking to me anymore. So am I the bad apple for calling out my daughter and humiliating her in front of her friends? Okay, I have two major thoughts. First of all, I do think that there is like this very unfortunate trend of younger generations, both a little bit of Gen Z, definitely Gen Alpha, definitely the one below them, I don't even remember what they're called, where they just assume disabilities amongst themselves, whether they have them or they don't. And it's really, just like the mom said, it's really problematic to individuals who do struggle for a lot of reasons. Because 1, it belittles the actual struggles that these people with disabilities genuinely have and genuinely deal with on a daily basis. And 2, a lot of these kids act out a little bit and they're like, oh, I'm sorry, it's because I have XYZ disability. And that creates really negative stereotypes for these people who do struggle with these disabilities, because it presents to the world that people with XYZ disabilities do X, Y, and Z. And that's not necessarily the case. That's a lot of kids thinking that saying I have a disability excuses various actions, and that's not the case either. Now, at the same time, because like the medical world is advancing so much, and we're learning so much about the brain and behaviors and disabilities, like there is a new surgence in, I don't even know if that's the right word, but it's fine, in people who are actually being diagnosed, because we're learning so much more about these disabilities. But there also are people who are genuinely just using the label for attention or for behavioral excuses. It's really sad. It's really unfortunate. And it's a problem. And I 1000% am always on board for calling out those kids and making life even more difficult for people with those disabilities, because that's really what they're doing. At the same time, I heavily agree with and stand by the idea that if your child is participating in those behaviors and is assuming this disabled label, I think it's really important not just to like call them out, but say, hey, I see that you think you have XYZ disability. Let's hold off on like putting a label on ourselves first, because again, we want to make sure we want to be healthy. So let's go talk to a professional. Let's get tested. If you genuinely think you have this disability, I want to hear you out. I want to hear why you think that you have this disability. Let's talk and have this conversation. And if at the end of it, we both feel comfortable going to the professional and getting diagnosed and getting looked at, then yeah, let's do that. But what we're not going to do is like just sit here and self-diagnose all these things and call it a day. Like if we really think we have these things, we're gonna go talk to a professional about this. And I think that's the best way to handle it. And I'm not saying that this mom isn't going to be doing that. I would just like, after she calls out her daughter, I like that she's like at best self-diagnosed, which like I self-diagnosed myself with ADHD before I got officially diagnosed. So I get that. You can sometimes look at these list of symptoms and really relate to how you're living your everyday life by seeing it either described online or hearing people talk about this disability. Like you can really feel in your soul, oh, I feel that, that's me. And like, that's what I really think is great about self-diagnosis, but I think that you should always follow it up with professional opinions, because like, to be completely honest, when you're not feeling good and you go and just Google something on WebMD, you could read something that has a list of symptoms and you're like, oh my God, I feel all of these, I'm dying. And that's not the case. It's not the case. You just aren't a professional to look at the actual symptoms that you're dealing with and the actual disease or the disability, whatever it is, whether you're looking at WebMD or disabilities. So while self-diagnosing is like helpful in the idea of like, oh, I think I have this disability, let me go get that checked out and talk to a professional, it can't be the end-all be-all. It just can't, because regular Joe Schmoes and 15-year-old girls are not professionals. We don't understand the nuance of medical terms and symptoms and things like that. So if you're just self-diagnosed, and I understand that going and talking to a professional can get expensive. I understand that. However, especially when it comes to younger kids, the detriment that this trend has on the disabled community is just so severe that it's very difficult for me to get on board with like, oh, it's fine because it's so expensive. It's fine for just everyone to self-diagnose, because we're just seeing so many issues come from that right now. And it's an awkward balance between, looking out for the real disabled community and making sure that more negative stereotypes are not being created by these kids looking for attention, and that their actual struggles are being respected and acknowledged and things like that. Like, it's such a balance. It's hard to find the right answers because it is expensive to actually get diagnosed, but I don't know what the right answer is, but there's got to be some balance between the two, you know what I mean? But I'm going good Apple on the condition that she then takes the daughter to get diagnosed, to talk to an actual professional, my bad. And I also think that talking to your kids about like, hey, I'm so glad that we're embracing this idea of like being disabled is fine and great and cool even. Like being able to not shun people for having these disabilities, wonderful. I love that. I love that idea is being like ostracized in the younger generation. I also think like ostracizing people for not having disabilities just as bad. Like we shouldn't be ostracizing anyone for having or not having a disability. Like it's all just not, I don't like it. I don't like it. Apple number 3. Am I the bad apple for disincluding people on our friend's birthday gift? I I have a good friend whose birthday coming up, and a group of other friends decided to all pitch in on a giant gift for them. We agreed on an item that was about $700 before I swiped my credit card on it, and about 5 other friends were supposed to pitch in $100 and I would cover the rest. I gave them 30 days to go ahead and send me this money, which would be 2 weeks before the actual birthday to get the money together. They all agreed that this was fair and it was a price they were comfortable with and they would send me the money. Well, 2 of those friends told me they wouldn't be able to pay by day 30, but that they would pay me before the birthday. I told them that's totally fine, but if you don't send me the money, I'm gonna have to cover the difference and I'm not gonna be able to put you on the card. Come the day of the birthday, neither of them sent the money. I said out of good faith, hey, can you guys at least give me a portion of your share? And neither said they could. That meant that I'm covering $400 of the $700 of the gift. I wrote on the gift package that it was from me, friend 1, friend 2, and friend 3. That's it. Now the other 2 are upset because I didn't put their name on the card, but they said that they would have paid me back after the birthday. I told them that's BS, that you guys were spending your money on dumb things like alcohol or Pokemon cards or grass or all this other stuff that you really didn't need. All money that you could have used towards this gift. So was I the bad apple here? No. Just no. In what world? I understand that like not everyone has the kind of money to just spend $100 and that's okay. But if you're in that type of situation, 1, don't agree to be a part of this like gift giving thing, and 2, you can't be upset when you're not included on the card. Even if you were to go to this friend and say, hey, I actually can't afford the full 100, but like, can I give you a little bit and still be included? But neither of them like went and said that. The guy even said like, hey, just give me a portion, and they were like, nah, I can't give you anything. So like, why would you expect to be from Jimmy when like no part of it is from Jimmy? I don't understand. And I'm gonna be honest, like if you couldn't even give a portion of that in over a month, like I'm with OP, I wouldn't trust that you were going to do that either. And it's not necessarily like if you have a financial situation, it's not necessarily your fault. I'm not even going to comment on the guy saying that they were spending it on Pokemon cards, because let's be honest, I don't know their financial situation. I don't know what's going on. I don't know how much they spent on what. It's not really none of my business. But it's not necessarily your fault. It doesn't make you the bad guy, but it doesn't make this friend the bad guy either for not including you on the card. You know, like that's just kind of how it is. Like I might feel differently if you were able to give like any kind of small portion to contribute anything, like even if you gave like $10. And it's fine if you can't contribute, but like you put someone else on the line for a lot more money by agreeing to be a part of this. It's like I don't know why you expected to still be included on the card when you're making other people pay so much more money and you agreed to this beforehand. And like, again, things can come up. You might have been able to afford it at the time and then not now, but then communicate, say those things, you know, and then understand that if you can't be a part of, you can't be a part of, and it's just an unfortunate situation. So I'm going good apple. Apple number 4. Am I the bad apple for ruining family Thanksgiving? I, 31 male, am married to Lily, 30 female. My brother Josh, 29 male, recently started dating Lindsay, 27 female. And while she's been polite at family events, Lily feels Lindsay has made some very passive-aggressive comments. For example, at a recent barbecue, Lindsay said that it was selfish that Lily and I weren't planning on having kids anytime soon. Lily felt very uncomfortable, but didn't say anything at the time. Another incident happened at a family dinner when Lindsay remarked, I'm surprised that you guys are so happy without kids. You must be really good at being selfish. Lily was really hurt by that comment, and it made her feel like Lindsay was judging our life choices. Most recently, at a birthday party, Lindsay made a comment about Lily's career, saying, oh, it's cute that you're working part-time with no kids, while Josh and I are really focusing on our careers. Lily was annoyed, but didn't say anything because she didn't want to start drama. Thanksgiving is at our house this year, and when Josh asked if he could bring Lindsay, I told him I'd prefer if she didn't come. I explained that some of her comments had made Lily feel very disrespected and that I didn't want her to ruin the holiday. Well, Josh got upset and said that I was being petty. Josh argued that I was overreacting and that Lindsay was just being honest. I stood my ground. Now Josh is saying that he won't come if Lindsay isn't invited and my parents are caught in the middle. My mom thinks that I'm being too harsh, but I feel like I'm just standing up for my wife, so. Am I the apple for ruining Thanksgiving? I love this. I love all these stories lately about the husbands standing their ground for their wives and not allowing their family to disrespect them. I love this. I love it. Here's the thing. If it was just a blanket like, Lindsay made Lily feel bad and she's not allowed at the house, like period, point blank, like then I might feel a little bit of a different type of way. Because I feel like offering Lindsay the opportunity to apologize and make right with the family, like that's important, especially if she becomes a sister-in-law later. However, the fact that all of these issues were communicated to Josh, and Josh was still like, oh, well, she's just being honest. About what? Your opinion on having kids is like your opinion on having kids. It's not a just being honest about facts. Like, no. Some people don't want kids. Some people work part-time. That's not your business. And who even thinks that's like appropriate to comment on anyways? What? Like that? No. The fact that it was doubled down and was like, well, it's fine. She can say whatever she wants. No. You should, I've said this in so many videos before. You should never, ever be made to feel unsafe in your own house. And if there's a friend, a family member, whatever, who makes you feel bad and like, whether it be mentally, emotionally, physically, whatever, unsafe or unwell, then no, I don't feel like you should ever have to feel that way in your own home, ever. So I really love that this husband is doing that for his wife. And the beautiful thing is, like, I don't even think Lily's asking for it. He said over and over, she didn't even say anything because she didn't want to start drama. I don't think she's saying, hey, she's not allowed. I think the husband is just standing up for her and making that decision on his own, and I love that. I love that so much. Like, that makes me so happy. That makes me so happy. I love it. And honestly, I don't like, oh, well, my parents are in the middle. No. What do you mean in the middle? Your parents should tell Josh, no, it's not appropriate to speak to family like that. It's not appropriate to say those things. What do you mean caught in the middle? Of what? Oh, well, one son's girlfriend is being really rude and the other doesn't want it affecting his wife. I don't know what to do. What do you mean you don't know what to do? What? No. Tell Josh to get over himself. I'm going good apple. I love this husband. He's doing so good. Good apple. Do we have a whole apple pie today? Oh my goodness, just in time for Thanksgiving. All good apples in one episode. I don't know the last time that's happened. I love that. What a perfect Thanksgiving treat. I love that so much. At least that's what I got. Did you get anything different? Did you agree or disagree with anything that I said? Definitely let me know down in the comments. And for your well wishes, I know I usually do a national blah, 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 but it's Thanksgiving. So instead, for your well wishes, I want to know 2 things. And I know that it's not Thanksgiving in every country, so if you're in a different country, that's okay. You can still participate in this. It's totally fine. First one is, what is something that you are thankful for? That is something that we can all participate in. And 2, what is your favorite Thanksgiving food? Something that I am thankful for is all of you guys and the opportunity that you have given me for this to be my job. I could not do it without you, and I'm so incredibly thankful for every one of you. And my favorite Thanksgiving food is totally mac and cheese. 1,000%. 1,000%. My brother always brings the mac and cheese to Thanksgiving. He does good. He does good. As always, if you want a chance for your stories to be featured on Am I the Bad Apple, you can send them to my subreddit, r/Am I the Bad Apple. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you have a great Thanksgiving for those who are celebrating, and hope to see you all next week. Bye, my lovelies. Mwah.